There we are.
There he is. Huh?
Hey.
This is very, very smooth.
Smooth as silk, hey? No one would have noticed. No one would have noticed. I get so excited when things work. I'm like, yay.
Hey, yay. Anyway, hi, welcome to the FiveStack. Yay, we're here. Like, just listen, you got to deal with a couple things when you have a couple of middle-aged snacks that grew up with telephones plugged into the walls and wooden TVs. You can't expect us to get the tech right all the time, half the time, or maybe even some of the time. We're just happy everybody's here. How are you, my friend? This is, what are we, Thursday? We Wednesday? No, it's Wednesday today. We're Wednesday.
It's still Wednesday. We're not even halfway through the week, and there's so much news. It's unbelievable. The things are just bursting at the seams.
Yeah, it's only Wednesday, and man, oh man, we've got some breaking news, 5 breaking news stories that we're going to cover today, and they sit in and around a couple of different topics, and we'll extrapolate out that. The United States of America going through some things right now. Jack Smith is testifying. We'll talk about that a little bit. You've got the Epstein files coming out. We'll talk about that. MAGA is literally crumbling at its very foundations. Susie Wiles in the Exodus, Dan Bongino, we'll get to that as well. We've got a television address tonight that nobody seems to know what's going on. Specifically, Trump guarantee he has no idea what's going on tonight. He just knows he's going to give an address and try and convince you things aren't as bad as they are. And we're going to spend the next hour or so convincing you that, yes, indeed, they're not just as bad as they are far fucking much worse than you think. Hi, Zev. How are you?
I am terrific. It's good to be here as we start the top 5 countdown of breaking news stories that are happening right now. The FBI Deputy Director's Office sits empty as Dan Bongino clears out ahead of his January departure. While Trump's own chief of staff spent months telling Vanity Fair he has an alcoholic's personality and his cabinet is filled with zealots and conspiracy theorists, Bongino has clashed with Attorney General Pam Bondi, of course, and now apparently he's not coming back to the office at all. He's yelled at people during meetings about the Epstein files, and the FBI agents openly count down the days until he's gone. He's so unloved within the FBI. Now, he's, of course, something of a clown. He's not being the kind of person you'd expect to be a deputy FBI director, but the fact that he's leaving with in such an unceremonious way is quite something, and it's just the start of what many people think could be a big exodus out of the White House.
This is a big one. I had a quick emergency Substack Live today with Lev Parnas, who telegraphed this, if you remember. I believe it was on July the 6th, and then started pounding away at this, really kind of let the cat out of the bag. August the 8th, we're now in December, so August, September, October, November. 4 months. Lev's had this for 4 months. Yeah. We've been talking about it here for 4 months, and finally, what does Dan Bongino do? He shocks the world. I would love to sit and impress everybody with all my inside knowledge. I'd love to sit and tell everybody what this really means strategically. But listen, if here's the truth, you know how yesterday I'm like, hey, bottom line is America has a rapist con man mobster as the president of the United States, and his wife is a former Eastern Bloc hooker who reads kids' books. Yeah, it's an incredible clip. I'll brass tacks this story for you as well. It's over. The MAGA exodus is beginning. Dan Bongino knows what's in the Epstein files, and he knows that if he hangs around much longer, he knows that he will never work again, never make money again, never be taken seriously again. He will be called a coward and a hypocrite and an enabler, as will every member of the GOP who are all talking quietly today. Doesn't matter if you're in the Senate or if you're in the House going, what do we do? The Epstein files are supposed to come out tomorrow. Jack Smith is currently tearing Donald Trump apart. Susie Wiles laid bare what we all knew, is that Susie Wiles has to effectively herd cats, and they're all psychotic conspiracy fucking theorists, weirdos with dementia, and closeted homosexuals looking for a place to happen. And so now what we have is Dan Bongino, which is the first brick to fall, part of the FBI. And he's like, I can't, there's no way I'm going to have a life if I stick around. And then you got Susie Wiles blowing him up, Donald Trump, everybody in Trump's universe. And now you have, which, by the way, was strategic. And here's the beautiful part. They can't control it. They can't stop it. They can't prevent Susie Wiles from sitting for 11 hours with Chris Whipple from Vanity Fair, New York Times, giving absolutely everything to Chris Whipple that you saw in the Vanity Fair article, over 11 different visits, over 20 hours, all recorded. Susie Wiles is plotting her exit, and that was her opening salvo, effectively telling Trump in the press, I got all the dirt. I know where all the bodies are. and if you don't cut it, if you don't cool it, I'm going to be making some noise on behalf of the United States of America. Now, Susie Wiles also has blood on her hands. I'm not painting her as a hero or a whistleblower or any of those things. She knows what Dan Bongino knows, which is what Nancy Mace knows, which Marjorie Taylor Greene knows, which Thomas Massey knows, which Don Bacon knows, which Lisa Murkowski knows, which every single GOP member shaking their head going, we can't do this, otherwise our careers will be over forever. And that is that Donald Trump colluded with Russia. Donald Trump colluded with Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump is a rapist. Donald Trump is going to be outed. Donald Trump is going to lose and get crushed in the midterms. And the rats are fleeing the ship. How is that for an opening thesis?
That's incredibly interesting and probably very accurate. Did you actually say that Bongino was taken seriously before? Because, I mean, there's not a shred of seriousness in this person who landed up
he
with
was taken seriously in that MAGA QAnon Epstein files, deep state bullshit.
Right. Those
he will never be taken seriously by that community. And that community is the only community Dan Bongino has to go to when this is done, because they're all going to get wiped out.
I will say,
so
in his defense,
he's trying to protect his revenue income, right? He's trying to protect his future.
He's being principled here, unbelievably so. I mean, not that he's a very, very principled guy, but he is being principled. At least he's resigning because he's in objection to the Epstein files. That seems to be the context behind all of it. Unlike Kash Patel, who equally unserious, equally pathetic, equally terrible at his job, who's not resigning, he's trying to hold on to his job, doing a podcast with his girlfriend yesterday, while there's a manhunt going on at Brown University.
Did you see that? Did you see that podcast? Him and his girlfriend on the Katie Miller podcast.
Yeah. This is this man needs to go, obviously, but he's hanging on for dear life and wants to hang on. He takes his job quite seriously, meaning he's okay with the cover up that's coming for Jeffrey Epstein. Bongino, on the other hand, has shown some ethical guidelines here, and he's willing to walk away from the job. He'll not be missed because he's a terrible FBI deputy director. The FBI will be in a much better place once both of these two men have left. But
are you telling me that Dan Bongino, as a podcaster, was not qualified to be the deputy law enforcement expert at the FBI?
Yes, sir. Zero. I mean, he had some qualification, I believe. He was part of the Secret Service for like a minute, but beyond that, no, it doesn't deserve to be. None of these people in any of these positions. Did you see that portrait in Vanity Fair? It was just a portrait in incompetence. Every single person around that table could not do their job. And that man, Steve Miller, but he's attempted looking, did you see that?
He's trying to look cool.
He's trying to look cool. He's got this pose that he does.
The junkyard dogs. Listen, I'll tell you something too about Steve Miller and every one of the people that were in that photograph trying to look powerful.
Yeah.
Two things. Stephen Miller has never in his life looked powerful.
Yes.
Stephen Miller is just a little incel in a hose bag that I could fold in half. Like if I met him on this corner of the street, he'd be the guy that ran into Starbucks calling the police if I called him a name. Like that's the kind of guy Stephen Miller is.
Probably.
And I got it on good authority from Michael Cohen and Lev Parnas in a recent Substack Live that we did.
Yeah.
That Stephen Miller didn't say a word for the first year and a half to 2 years of palling around with the MAGA crew, the Trump regime, the OGs like Cohen and Lev Parnas. He was the coffee boy.
Oh.
And he was elevated because Donald Trump and him had a conversation, apparently, where he effectively is like, I just like white people. I don't like anybody else. I think we should have an ethnic cleansing of the United States of America. And Donald Trump was like, you're meant for big things.
Well, I mean, he found a kindred spirit in Donald Trump with these incredibly racist policies. I mean, this team is going down. I'm really interested in your take in Susie Wiles. So this is an exit strategy, you're saying. This is her basically walking out the door and protecting herself. But she's not going to be alone here. There are other people who like her, who work for her within that team, who will not be staying in the next year of this White House. And as the Susie Wiles tonight for a speech, I'm really curious to see how he's going to handle this as he's left. He's going to be left empty. He's got no one in the White House. Maybe Stephen Miller will stick around. Maybe Marco Rubio will stick around because he sees the future there. But, is anybody else going to stick around?
This is sort of like when those senators walked into Nixon's office and they're like, we're kind of done.
Yeah.
And that was it for Richard Nixon. He lost what was left of any of his support. The Trump regime is a mirage. and that's held together by a couple of serious people. Susie Wiles is one of them. Actually, Lev worked with her at a lobby group, and she's been in charge of several campaigns. She's put several governors in office, Supreme Court justices. She's responsible for DeSantis, believe it or not. There are lots of different aspects of Susie Wiles that are terrible, like her connections with Russia, but she is a very serious dealer, right?
Yeah.
I go back to that original thesis where we were talking about her. She sat down with Chris Whipple 11 times.
Mhm.
Not only did she sit down with him 11 times and give the goods on every single one of the individuals in this picture here, including Pam Bondi, who she said whiffed on the Epstein files, including Donald Trump, who said he's all over the Epstein files. Lev brought this up today. If anybody's ever been interviewed for a piece, right, where they're going to write a hit piece on you, or they're going to write something after you've just given 11 hours of deposition for an interview, really good outlets, really high-end outlets like the New York Times, Vanity Fair, say what you want about, the way they lean, I don't care. They've got real professionals that write there. They write it gradually, and then they give it to the asset of the interview, the person being interviewed. They said, please feel free to pass this along to your lawyers. That happened here. And Susie Wiles and her team were like, looks great. No way that interview gets out. Unless so let's just go over what that means.
Practice, it really is a normal practice. I haven't seen for it to go through lawyers first. I don't know.
I know, man. This was allegedly vetted by Susie Wiles' team. No one in the White House knew what was going on, other than they trusted her, apparently. They're like, yeah, well, we don't care what you said. We know you're going to stick up for the regime. You're Susie fucking Wiles. And she's like, you're goddamn right I am. What's that?
I think that they went to the lawyers. I mean, anytime you got a journalist who checks with their client or checks with their subject and then their lawyers, that's not a good journalist. That's not someone who's can be objectively trusted. Anytime you got a journalist who allows the subject of the article to read that before it's published, isn't doing their job correctly.
You have to write the article, right? Yeah. If you've done this before, many times, you write a piece on somebody and you contact them and you want comments on certain parts of those pieces.
Fact check everything. Fact checking is one thing, but going in and saying, "Hey, here's the piece." I've never done that. That's maybe not a journalistic practice.
No, but you have asked for comment on certain things.
Everything. Yeah, you go and you.
This whole thing was fact check with Susie Wiles. She's no shrinking violet.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it was.
Let's not get hung up on semantics, but that's what I think we're agreeing and saying the same thing.
Yes, we are.
So now this becomes strategic, where Susie Wiles can't go to Donald Trump and go, "I'm out." She's probably tried to challenge him a bunch of times, which she did indeed say in this interview, whether you believe it or not. Now she sees the writing on the wall, like Dan Bongino sees the writing on the wall. We are going to get crushed. This president is engaging in a laundry list of criminality. The people around him are engaging in a laundry list of criminality. And we are going to lose the midterms. We might even lose before the midterms. You don't think that Susie Wiles isn't plugged into every single GOP member that's leaving the boat that hasn't said anything, just resigning, not running, not going to show up for certain votes, giving Democrats the ability to do whatever they want between now and the midterms, if indeed that happens. Susie Wiles is not a dumb person.
No.
And she made sure that interview came out, and the first thing she did was tweet as soon as this went viral. I don't know if you've seen the tweet. Yeah. The hit piece that disingenuously accredited words and but she never once said she didn't say any of it.
Everyone has agreed to it. I mean, Vance has basically admitted that he is a conspiracy theorist in the face of all of this. Even the president himself was previously quoted as saying he's has an alcoholic's personality, that he sort of identifies as being that. So there's nothing in here that isn't correct. It's all fact checked. It's all true. She's just saying it was a hit piece and there was some good stuff that they didn't report, but there isn't any good stuff. I mean, this, goes back to tonight's speech where you got the president saying this has been a great year and he's going to stand up in front of the nation and say what a fantastic year it is. We'll get to this at number one, but there is nothing good going on here. This is a terrible administration and everyone can see it. It's a disaster in every way. There's not a single good thing he can point to, actually. The economy sucks. Foreign policy sucks. The people aren't happy. The polls are terrible. His staff aren't happy. There's nothing good happening in this White House.
Life expectancy during his first and second term has dropped 5 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's saying something. Listen, Susie Wiles has given herself an off-ramp.
Yeah.
Susie Wiles is in control now of whatever. Donald Trump, MAGA, his presidency. Susie Wiles just basically put her hand on the top of the bat. If anybody has ever divvied up teams playing baseball, bang, 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 bang. Hers is the last hand on top of the bat because of that piece that is crushing Donald Trump. There is apparently such amazing panic in the White House. And this will tell you how panicked Donald Trump is. He's going to free ball it in an interview tonight at 9 o'clock, to your point, and we'll get to that in a minute. That interview was announced about 2.5 hours after Susie Wiles tweeted.
Yeah.
I swear to God, guys, I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah. The thing is, in her piece as well, she's already laying the groundwork for what may come next. And I think if you look at all the comments, the one person she's quite good about is Marco Rubio. The one person she doesn't actually take to the cleaners is Marco Rubio. And I'm wondering if she is thinking, how do we manage this post-Trump world? And can Marco Rubio be the guy who does that? Because she does torch Vance. There's no doubt about that. And Vance is just not acceptable to anybody as a potential president. But the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has not, he's not been to Russia. That's for sure.
Well, he's largely been cut out of the whole process, and she and Rubio are really, really close from her time in Florida, right? So,
could that be their solution? Could that be what she's trying to pave the way for? A resignation by the president and the vice president, and then maybe the Secretary of State takes over. That's not an unusual. That's not an unusual succession. I mean, it can be done if the House Speaker doesn't want to do it. It can be done. Number 4 on the countdown today. Anne Applebaum's devastating Atlantic analysis calls Trump's national security strategy a suicide note that refuses to name Russia, China, or Iran as threats while identifying one enemy, European liberal democracy itself. It's a great article. I don't know if you've read it. It's fantastic. The Atlantic does amazing work, and Applebaum does amazing work, but this one really stands out. She basically says that the document aims to help illiberal forces in Hungary, Poland, Italy, and Austria break up the EU using language about European civilizational erasure that former Swedish Prime Minister Carl Bildt says is to the right of the extreme right. Now, we've spoken about this thing. We broke the story when it happened, but this article by Anne is particularly noteworthy, and it's getting a lot of attention online. I'll give you some quotes here so you have some context in terms of what she said. She says, the national security strategy is not really a strategy document. It's a suicide note. She goes on to say, the one genuinely new, truly radical element, absolute refusal to acknowledge the existence of enemies or to name any countries that might wish America ill. The authors focus on one enemy ideology, not Chinese communism, not Russian autocracy or Islamic extremism, but their only enemy, European liberal democracy. And then unilateral disarmament is now official policy. The United States declared it would no longer oppose Russian influence campaigns, Chinese manipulation, or Iranian extremist recruitment. And a final quote for you here. The security strategy talks about Europe being on the verge of civilization erasure, language Carl Bildt called, we just mentioned that already. So you've got those three, those key notes from this address. Now, we know all this. We've been talking about this for a long time. But, this is now Anne Applebaum. This is the institutions beginning to speak about Trump's strategy being a suicide note.
Strong language. When that first national security document came out, you and I were on the air and we brought it up, and it literally took over the show. I think it became one of those 5 stacks that turned into a 1 stack, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely.
Because we were both aghast by it, and then we got a day to go through it, 33 pages. And I think she's underselling it. It's not a divorce. It is a nuclear bomb dropping in the middle of every single relationship the United States and the democratic world has held dear for the past 80 to 85 years. The New World Order, the post-World War II security alliances that have been fought for, died for by hundreds of thousands of people over the past 8.5 decades. And what I read was we're switching teams in as much as a suicide note. It is, we don't care how we kill America, but what we can tell you this is that what is important to America now is important to Russia, is important to China, is important to Hungary, it's important to North Korea. The United States was the lone country to hold out a human rights vote the other day to recognize human rights in certain countries that don't have any. They're like, nah, we're not doing that. Fuck you. The only country, 153 to 1. That was the vote. Because you can believe people when they tell you that Donald Trump is a fascist. You can believe us now when we tell you that the United States, in plain writing, in their national security strategy that plots the course over the next year of what's important for the United States to support in terms of foreign policy, foreign governments, what they're saying is they're not going to support any of those governments if they're liberal European democracies. They're going to support the parties, the AFD, the far right, the hate parties, the white supremacists, the same people that are that Donald Trump robed himself with on the way to the Oval Office twice, the same people that attacked on January 6th, the same people that went after Ottawa during the Flu Trucks Klan and the fake trucker convoy, that we're just going to promote those parties and those interests because that is what we want for the United States because we are now the governing party. So fuck democracy. And buried in that document was the idea that Canada was just a vassal state of the United States of America, a place that they could treat as their dumping grounds, a place they could extract wealth and minerals and energy from, and didn't even get the decency of a recognition of the sovereign state as a democratic government. So it was worse than a suicide note. And I know I say that because I've got a vested interest in protecting the country that I live in, that you live in, the country that has been so far the only country to stand up to Trump and do so effectively. But Donald Trump literally, and Ann nailed it, literally basically said, we don't give a fuck about Democrats. We don't give a fuck about democracy. What we care about is how hardcore can we be? How dictatorial can we be? Because that's the team that we have now decided to shift down into being on that team. We don't give a fuck about democracy anymore. We lied to you for the last year and a half when we tried to win this election. We don't give a shit about free speech. We don't give a shit about habeas corpus rights. In any country in Europe that doesn't align with that, you are our enemy. That's what that document says.
Yeah, it really is. And we know what it says to me is not only that I think the notion that we're committing suicide is important not to just gloss over. This is the end of America. This is the end of the era of America having influence over the world. And, it's so easy to say, well, this is all Donald Trump, but it's not just Donald Trump. And this leads into our next story here. The Chinese and the Russian governments are actively at war with the West. They've been actively at war with America with these information campaigns, with the attempts to install Donald Trump as the president of the United States twice. It's easy to ignore the fact that those countries are the ones that are really doing it, but those are the countries that are really doing it. This is not some self-created Donald Trump thing that he made up by himself. This is created by China and Russia in the attempt to ascend to the leadership of the world. This is Beijing's policy to try and lead the world. And this is why we have warnings now from the British and other countries about, a potential World War III breaking out. This is where we are heading. I've been saying it for over 2 years now, that this is the plan to get us into World War III. And here we are heading into World War III. Britain just launched military's intelligence services, consolidating all defense intelligence under one organization for the first time in UK history. This is the number 3 story. As Canada mobilized 300,000 civilians in the biggest force buildup since World War II, this story you just mentioned. Dean, you've been reporting about this on your site. There is a recognition by what were the former allies of the United States that war is coming, and it's time to prepare for that war.
Do you have the clip that I sent you today of MI6 officer?
Because it didn't process correctly.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Chief of the Secret Intelligence Service. Her name is Blaise Merchuli. And she was just actually labeled the head of MI6. She's the first woman. It's a fucking cool story. She looks like she could break us in half too. She does not fuck around. Yeah. She used to run spies in the Middle East. She's fluent in like 5 different languages. She stood up and quietly declared 2 days ago, in one of the more stunning things that's not getting enough attention, that we're on the precipice of war. And I remember watching it when it first came out, and I thought, okay. And because of what we do, we write, we file things in our heads. And then I started thinking about Finland's, pre-war posturing, turning most of their border into marsh, thinking about Poland doing the same thing, fortifying their borders, thinking about conscription coming back in France, coming back in Germany, thinking about the SAFE Act, thinking about the multi-billion-dollar rearm Europe. And then I started thinking about Canada, because it's funny. My mind's over there, but then I come back over here. And things I never expected us to do, we're doing, right? Canada is effectively saying, we need 300,000. They've got a recruitment drive for 300,000 civilian army officers. So they're building a 300,000. This country right now is recruiting 300,000 men and women, Canadians, to serve in a civilian defense force. And it requires a few hours a week. You get drone training, you get artillery training, you get rifle training, and you go and train. And you can sign up for it, kind of like the National Guard, but a federalized National Guard. We've never had that before.
No.
We've never had that before. We've got a massive recruitment drive to have full-time soldiers. We're buying tens of billions of dollars worth of military equipment. We're building a Gripen factory in the country. We're building munitions capabilities in this country. We just signed a $21 billion deal with Sweden, a security and trade deal where we've basically divorced the United States. So when I think about that announcement from MI6, and then I think about Navy intelligence officers standing there the other day after Blaise Merchuli said, we're on the precipice of war, so heads up, is the men and women of England need to be prepared to fight for their brothers and sisters. That was another comment that was made the other day.
Yeah.
You got Canada rearming, massing a 300,000 person civilian fighting force. You've got the EU, every single one of those countries fortifying, preparing, building munitions, fortifying their entire border regions. Everywhere in the EU, there's a democratic country that is involved in trying to support Ukraine. They're doing this. Now, why?
Well, they're going to war with America. And this is the thing that every American needs to think about as they look over their dinner table tonight and they see their kids who might be called up to fight in a war that will be not the same war that America has ever fought before. It'll be a war for an autocrat, a war for a dictatorship, a war where you're fighting on behalf of a mad king who wants to basically destroy what American values were all about, who wants to take the core of the American Constitution and rip it to shreds and fight wars against countries that used to be our friends, wars against democracies that enshrine freedom of speech, that enshrine a right to vote, that enshrine human rights. He wants to go after those countries and turn them and America into something that looks like communist China and Russia. And that is the trajectory we are currently on with this presidency that's in the White House now. Even if it's not this president, I think anyone who represents that sort of MAGA brand of the GOP, because the GOP is basically owned by Russia, is taking us down this path of almost certain world war. Because what happens when you pull all your troops out of Ukraine? What happens when you pull all your troops out of Europe? Russia feels very emboldened. And Russia starts marching across all of Eastern Europe, all the way into Western Europe, and maybe across to Alaska through their new tunnel, and starts attacking Canada. And America joins in that fight. That is where we're heading. And it's naive to think otherwise. If you see what the playing cards are like and you see what's on the table, this is where we're heading. So America's got a decision to make right now, whether it wants to send the world over the cliff into a third world war or not. And next November is probably the only time that they'll be able to stop it, or before. But there is a urgency now to removing this presidency from power and removing the GOP from power that is not the same as the urgency that we felt last year or the year before, where he was just crazy. Now he's crazy to the point of nuclear Armageddon for the world. And we need to get rid of this man. So the urgency is there, and I hope Democrats, and particularly any Democrat leader, one of them, needs to stand up and realize that next November is a presidential election. The right coalition building right now can lead to the result that will bring peace to the world next November. And we need to work hard to build those alliances right now and deter these war-hungry countries and stop the potential of World War III. And we can only do it if someone stands up right now and takes that leadership role and starts uniting the center of this country against Donald Trump. So next November is a presidential election.
Yeah, well said. It absolutely is. I mean, every special election is a presidential election.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Every election, anytime you can vote for the person who isn't in support of the fascist dictator, president of the United States, rapist, felon, pedophile, president of the United States, it's a good day. Something happened in Kentucky yesterday. A special election saw a Democrat win a seat that has never been won by a Democrat by 42%.
I think the Democrats had won it but just a small, like it was maybe 5%.
5%.
And now there was like a 75% win. 45% over his opponent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty remarkable when you've got, this is in Kentucky. I mean, a liberal part of Kentucky, I get that, but there's no Republican base anymore. It's fallen down to, the low 20s, probably realistically. I mean, it's polling higher than that, but I don't see it really existing.
Well, and speaks to the importance of this stupid fucking press conference he's having tonight. He's now blockading Venezuela, and then sent a letter last week to the EU. Like it's an act of war to blockade a country. According to the international war historians, it's an act of fucking war. So he's basically declaring war on Venezuela without going in. The king of taco, Trump, doing another taco thing again. He's like, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. We're going to blockade. He's blockading him right now.
Because he can do a war thing like that, but he can't. He's got the military won't support any offensive on the ground in Venezuela. I just don't see them doing it. Tomorrow there'll be a vote in the Senate, I believe, or maybe it's the House, where they'll be voting against any attempt to invade Venezuela. So he's getting blocked internally by the Congress as well. That's why he's such a limp president, but he's still the president. And tonight his address is it was meant to be, I believe, it was meant to be a let's go to war with Venezuela address. And instead what he's getting is a pep rally that he's going to try and do on a fictional good year that he's had. That it's
and listen, everything that comes out of his mouth tonight is going to be a lie. But I need everybody to be prepared for the angriest this prick has ever been tonight. We'll get to it in a minute. But back to your point, the letter that he sent out, like we're back on the precipice of war. The letter that he sent to the EU was, we're out of here by 2027. We're going to bring all of our hardware back to America. So once again, I would ask you, why? Who's he going after? That's the question. Yeah. That's the question now. So it not only creates a vacuum in Europe, and again speaks to the importance of getting him the fuck out of the office as soon as humanly possible. But there's a lot at stake here, and what these countries are not telling us when they tell us we're on the precipice of war, kind of, is that they know way more than us. And much like you can't run into a movie theater and scream fire because people get trampled to death, they're quietly leaking out that this is that serious. Every single major EU country, Canada, the Coalition of the Willing, they are all telling, their people, slowly prepare civilization for some type of inevitable incursion, whether it be digital, whether it be physical, whether it be aerial, whether it be AI, whatever it is. Slowly prepare for it, because Russia, China, Trump, they're on a fucking mission to carve up the world into 3 different zones.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I just want to add this one story into the lineup, which wasn't there. It's about former special counsel Jack Smith told lawmakers on Capitol Hill today that President Donald Trump himself is responsible for the criminal indictments against him relating to the January 6th insurrection and his possession of classified documents. Republicans hold Smith in for a closed-door deposition as part of their year-long effort to downplay the president's actions and portray the cases against him as purely political witch hunt. But he said, the decision to bring charges against President Trump was mine, but the basis for those charges rests entirely with President Trump and his actions, as alleged in the indictments returned by the grand juries in 2 different districts. Big deal.
Yeah. Jack Smith torched him today behind closed doors. It was one of the stories I was trying to follow while I was running around running errands this afternoon. Before I came back to jump into the FiveStack chair, I was furiously, like, I'm sitting in the Home Depot parking lot. I'm like, Jack Smith, wait. Oh, Jack Smith put the wood to Donald Trump. Jack Smith uncovered Donald Trump. Jack Smith slowly, systematically, confidently, concisely told the truth with evidentiary proof that Donald Trump not only stole classified records, Donald Trump also started, planned, and helped fund the insurrection. Donald Trump tried desperately to turn over the election with his fake elector scam, and he has proof, and he showed proof today, and allegedly the room was aghast.
Yeah, this is what he said.
One of those things where it's like, I had no idea it was this bad. But that came from the GOP side. The Democrats on the other side, where they were listening to this committee testimony from Jack Smith, they're like, we already know this.
We all know we knew this. And Jack Smith is a good guy. So, he's a career prosecutor. This is not the kind of person who would just be on a political witch hunt. He said, our investigation developed proof beyond a reasonable doubt that President Trump engaged in a criminal scheme to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election and to prevent the lawful transfer of power. That is massive. I mean, as much as we've known this, to hear it from Jack Smith in these words, our investigation also developed powerful evidence that showed President Trump willfully retained highly classified documents after he left office in January 2021, storing them on his social club, including in a bathroom and a ballroom where events and gatherings took place, exposing America's secrets to anybody who happened to be at Mar-a-Lago.
And you got to pay to get into Mar-a-Lago, right?
Yeah. Well, if you're a Chinese spy, you can't get into Mar-a-Lago. Yeah. So this is a big deal. I mean, it's obvious to all of us who've been around for a while in this story, but the fact is he's gotten away with absolute murder, and he's also gotten away with attempting to steal an election, which used to be a disqualifying thing. It used to be that if you tried to do what he did for 2020, you wouldn't be able to actually do a run for 2024. But I guess that went out the window as well somewhere along the way.
It's just awesome to see a guy like him not afraid of Trump.
Yeah.
Right? Like he was, you watched him walk into his testimony, into his hearing today. He was fucking confident, slow, walked in. Hey, how you doing? Walked in, blasted Trump all morning, didn't get angry. Calmly,
I don't think he
just
does. I think he's one of these cool as a cucumber guys who's done so many things. He doesn't lose his cool at all. Yeah. I just don't think he's just not that guy.
Don't sleep on the fucking idea that Donald Trump is scared shitless of that too. And again, don't sleep on the idea that the distraction of tonight's press conference isn't to try to paint this guy as a piece of shit too. He is going to go for broke tonight.
He has to. I mean, he is, literally the emperor without clothes. He is standing out there with no support. His entire White House seems to be against him. He's got criminal prosecutors, confessing that they've got evidence to all this criminal activity that he's been involved in. The world literally hates him because he's threatening to go to war with everybody. And he's, some very serious analysts are calling it a suicide note for America that he's the president. Boy, he's got a lot to work against today and see if he can spin it in a good way. Meanwhile, something else that happened in the number 2 story. You remember ISIS, the thing he said he defeated? Well, ISIS struck on 2 continents on the same day, and people have been talking about the Sydney massacre as being a big story. Well, there's also the other story that happened, the killing of 2 U.S. soldiers in Syria. Both were claimed to be responsible, claimed responsibility was ISIS responsibility. So the Syria attack came from the inside. A Syrian Internal Security Forces member killed Americans in a green on blue attack after officials warned the U.S. coalition about ISIS threats that were ignored. So they've been asleep at the switch. The organization they said that they defeated is actually not dead. And now we've got these twin attacks that happened. The Sydney attack where 15 people were killed, and the attack in Syria. The soldiers were returned home. The bodies were returned home today. Trump, I think for the first time ever, was actually there to see the bodies returned as he vows retribution. But it's a little bit too late considering he ignored warnings that this was coming. Not surprising. We've been saying this for months too. These terror attacks were going to come.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say other than, honestly, just 2 horrific incidences. And, we can point to the failure or the lie that Donald Trump continually tells everybody that he was the guy that wiped out ISIS. He didn't. Clearly, they are now active again. It's not something you can just wipe out. Donald Trump has, as the West has, pissed off and created all kinds of hatred via, hardcore Muslim extremists. And they will never stop. That's the thing is that shocks me about this ongoing effort in Gaza is that it doesn't matter what they do. They just create more and more hardcore zealots that will go out and wait for their time and kill as many people as humanly possible in the name of Allah Akbar. That is what they live for. That is their mission in life. It's to get to heaven with 72 virgins or 24 virgins. I don't know how many, but I know you get virgins if you go ahead and you act as a martyr and you kill someone who's antithetical to that Muslim extremist faith, which is a cult. Donald Trump never ended ISIS. Like, Donald Trump never ended the war in Gaza. Like, Donald Trump never ended a war between Thailand and Cambodia, never ended the war between Rwanda and the Congo. And you're literally seeing the manifestation of all of those lies in every one of these tragedies, every one of these wars. And every time he stands up there and calls himself, the peacetime president, every time he tries to pimp himself for some kind of new peace award, we get another tragedy that reminds us that he's so full of shit and that he's not doing anything about it. And he's also not fucking interested in doing anything about it other than using those tragedies, along with his friends like Netanyahu, to continually get more power, to continually threaten people, groups of people. And I was reminded of that today when I read the piece about the soldiers in Syria that were killed, is that he didn't say a word about that when it happened. Not for like 2-3 days. I asked him, he's like, I don't know much about it.
No, he's out there trying to cover himself today by being there when the bodies return. Look, here's the thing about ISIS. ISIS is a creation. It's a proxy army created by Russia, created by Turkey. It's all about getting oil out of the oil fields in the Middle East. It's all it was. It's like MAGA. It was an invention. It was an invention that brought a whole bunch of militants together and created a force that was going to be destabilizing to the Middle East. And it worked. And when it wasn't useful anymore to them, they let it quieten down. Now they might find the use to bring it back up again. And that's why ISIS is returning with these attacks. And it's the same bad guys on the other side. The Russian and the Chinese are funding all of this. So are the Turks to some extent. That's why, this is not really a surprise that ISIS is back. The number one story. As Trump prepares to address the nation tonight at 9 p.m. to celebrate a great year, quote unquote, that exists only in his head, approval is at 39%. His economic approval at 33%. 70% are saying the economy is poor. At the same time that all this is happening, there are four House Republicans who broke ranks to defy Speaker Johnson on the ASA subsidies. That is a very big deal. He's quoted now as saying, I just saw that he is not lost control of the House, which is something you say when you're losing control of the House, because otherwise you don't have to say it.
I was shocked that Mike Lawler was one of those guys, by the way.
Yeah, no, it's four moderate Republicans that are walking away from their GOP speaker in order to side with Democrats to call for this discharge petition for the ASA subsidies to continue. Now, I don't know if they got time to make this vote happen. Maybe they will today, maybe they will tomorrow, but they got to get it done. Will it get through the Senate? It's not likely. But the fact that there is a significant fracture in the House Republicans, again, is a big story.
Yeah. This is why Donald Trump is doing this speech tonight, and it just continually adds up, and it's just going to continually add up. Started with Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert, and the Epstein victims. It is now steamrolled into Thomas Massie, another handful of much quieter GOP members. And now you've got four of these GOPers. Like, Mike Lawler shocked me because he has licked Trump's boots from the second he got into office the second time around. And should be ashamed of himself because he painted himself as a moderate. Well, today he did the moderate thing with three others, and he said, hey, we're going to vote with the Democrats, and we want to extend ACA subsidies so that our constituents don't lose health care. Yeah. Why would they do that? They would not do that if just because they're nice guys. They're not doing this because, I just feel bad for my constituents. Fuck no, they don't give a shit about their constituents. They're doing that because they're going to lose their seat.
Exactly.
If millions of their constituents lose their health care and access to health care, or if they price that health care premium to a point where they can't afford health care. And it is going to just further add fuel to the fire that they know is going to come for them during the midterms in November. Yeah. And there is no profiling courage with any of these people, but at the very least, you're starting to see people go, okay, I don't have to be afraid of the big idiot. I don't have to fear for my political life if I go against Donald Trump. If enough of us do this, and enough of them are, if they're not quitting, they're clearly, like Marjorie Taylor Greene answers, they're clearly showing disdain with his decision-making and going against what he wants them to do.
You have to fear
and
him.
This is a big fucking deal for a guy like Mike Johnson, too. This is effectively says to Mike Johnson, we can get rid of you, too.
It's
and
another
all four
vote
of these
no
guys
confidence.
think Mike Johnson is feckless, by the way. So.
Yeah, it's another vote of no confidence in the speaker, basically. We had one the other day with the Epstein vote, but they sort of all corralled against it. They changed their mind just before it happened, and they all voted in support of release of the papers because they knew it was coming. But this is different. This is four of them are standing up and saying in public, we're opposed to this guy. This guy has a razor thin majority in the House, and he's not holding on to it. He's got four of them now saying, you're not our speaker. We're siding with the Democrats. Now, of course, they're doing it because of these exact election performances we've been seeing. In Virginia, we had that 50-point win over performance. Rhode Island was the other one. Tennessee. And now we're seeing Kentucky from yesterday. There's
Georgia a couple of days ago. Yeah,
there's just a lot of evidence that their MAGA is disappearing, and moderate MAGA supporters are not there. Independents are not supporting MAGA at all. So if you're a moderate Republican, you're fearing for your seat. So supporting Donald Trump and even support from Donald Trump could be the death knell of your political career next elections. It's the complete opposite of where we were a year ago. And this is what's happening. Now, 22 million people are going to be facing premiums that are double this January the 1st. That is astronomical for most people. To imagine your premiums doubling, and you're already dealing with healthcare issues or the like. And the economy is terrible. They're seeing the writing on the wall, Republicans, and this is something that they're wearing. And you got to give it to the Democrat leadership in the House for making this stick to Republicans, because it really is sticking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it is. You know what? Listen, the tonight's speech is going to be a disaster. You are going to laugh. You're going to cry. You're going to turn around and look at other people that you're watching it with and go, "Did he just say that?"
Yeah,
because he is in so much fucking trouble. He's not just in trouble with his own party and his own base, which was thought to be bulletproof, his own cult. Yeah. Like the cult is fracturing, his party's fracturing. His most ardent supporters are effectively coming after him now.
Yeah.
And his bootlicking faithful are voting against him and his agenda and what he wants. And we watched Jack Smith. Everything we talked about today, from the exodus of Susie Wiles, which is impending, Dan Bongino saying he's out, Trump trying to muzzle him on the way out too, which is another story we didn't get a chance to get to today. The lengths that Donald Trump is going to convince everybody that he's a peacemaker when he's not. Everything that we've talked about today points to the fact that Donald Trump isn't just losing, he is getting crushed, and he's getting crushed under the weight of his own bullshit. He is an evil, unhealthy, angry fascist. He has dementia. He is a drug addict. He is a pedophile. He is a rapist. He is a sex trafficker. He is a liar. He is a thief. He is a con man. He is a mobster. He is a money launderer.
He's all of
expect every one of those personalities to come out tonight, and expect every trick in the book, from blaming Joe Biden for everything to telling everybody that the economy that they're living in isn't real, and what they're paying for is much cheaper than the things they've actually been paying for, and that the gas that is so expensive and the food that's so expensive and affordability is a scam. Expect all the crazy to come out tonight. Expect him to label countries and other people terrorists that he's afraid of. Expect him to be the very worst version of himself tonight, and expect a lot, and I mean a lot, of covering up of his bruised hand, because it looks like it is going to fall off any day now.
I mean, he's been looking very, very weak, and you're so right to point that out. I mean, he's not really equipped, I don't think, to do this speech. I don't think he's got the capability, the physical capability to pull this off. And so what we're going to see is I
got to wonder if Susie Wiles is okay with it, because she's like, let him burn himself.
I mean, I think they must be. I mean, I wouldn't put this man live on television anywhere right now if I was them. I mean, he's not.
He can't stay awake for an hour and a half in a cabinet meeting, and it's going to be 9 o'clock at night. That is fucking moon time for a guy who's 80.
Although he likes the nighttime, he stays up and tweets all the time. So he likes to party. I mean, this is a real challenge. But I mean, America needs to see this. It's going to be like watching a train accident. It's going to be horrific.
I can't wait.
But you have to watch it, and you have to watch it with your eyes open. And Democrats need to start thinking about how they're going to play this game even more aggressively in terms of next November. I'm going to harp on this a lot in the coming weeks, I'm sure. We can replace this president next November, or any president next November, through the House. And I'm convinced of it. We need a deal maker to emerge amongst the Democrats who can strike a deal with the Republicans, moderate Republicans, these same people that are peeling away from Mike Johnson. Let's find a way for the Democrats to seize control of the House and to elect a speaker who can become the president. Others, we could be left with someone like Marco Rubio or Marjorie Taylor Greene. We don't want that. We don't want that. That's not the solution.
Can you imagine President Marjorie Taylor Greene?
I mean,
that would be fucking awesome.
It's possible. Anything's possible. That's the beauty of America. Dean Blundell from deanblundell.substack.com. Always the best place to get all this news and every little bit of the stuff you're hearing about Europe and the war drums, beating. That comes from Dean's incredible reporting. So please check out deanblundell.substack.com, where there is still a 25% offer for this month.
Annual subscriptions to the end of the month.
And
you get unlimited
how many
access.
founding members do you have now? You have lots, I bet.
You know what? I hate to say it, but I'm almost like I'm a couple hundred away from 40,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
40,000 founding members or 40,000 followers?
No, 40,000 followers. I have 28 founding members.
Okay.
I would love to get to 50. I think that'd be awesome.
You
don't pay again if you get a founding membership.
Christmas,
it's like
$150.
What's that?
It's Christmas. You should be getting all those guys.
No,
everyone should be giving you Christmas gifts. It should be.
Everybody gift a founding membership to your friends. If you appreciate what we do here, go to deanblundell.substack.com, go to narrative.org, and we're going to give everybody, I'm going to give everybody, I don't know if you will, I'm going to force you into this maybe, a lifetime subscription for a founding membership. You never pay again. We'll send you an email, and you'll just get continually upped for the rest of your life. And I've got that 25% off, which is awesome, right? It's $80 a year. I think maximum $80 a year, and you get unlimited access to the chats, access to talk to us, ask us questions. And we do a live and interactive show on Saturday, Coffee with Lev and Dean, where what we do is we bring you on and we talk to you, a bunch of added bonus stuff if you want to do it. If you want to be a free sub, I am so grateful for all of you. It doesn't matter who you are. And as is Zev, who does just the most incredible work laying down the tracks for what it is that went into where we are today. And his greatest heist series. Everybody should go and check that out. Narrative.org. By the way, quick question. When is the next chapter coming? I'm
writing it right now. I'm a little, I don't know what to do, because the Epstein files drop on Friday. That's going to take a lot of attention, a lot of the wind out of the series. On the other hand, we're just getting to the good part of the Greatest Heist book too. We're just getting to the part where they're actually starting to rig the economy in 2008, and how Jeffrey Epstein collapses the economy, and we show you the mechanism that he built to do that. I am writing furiously every single night. I don't know, maybe it'll be out this weekend. Maybe it'll be out Monday, but the Epstein files are going to take our attention on Friday.
We're going to be busy on Friday. We'll be here all day Friday, by the way. I'd wait till next week to put that out.
Yeah, I think it's going to. There's a lot of stuff coming.
Because you're probably going to be able to take some stuff from this dump if we indeed get a dump. And, of course, the House Intelligence Committee, House Oversight Committee Democrats are going to be putting out much more disturbing stuff on Friday as well. So
I hope so. I hope we get to see something new on Friday. I mean, I'm worried that they're going to try and move this along, that they're just not going to release it. They can't, but they might try. We'll see what Pam Bondi decides to do. It's up to her at the end of the day. But I don't think she's profiling courage either right now. She's probably just going to follow the law. We'll see what happens. But
I feel like if Pam Bondi wasn't Pam Bondi, she would be working. Like if you put her in a laundromat uniform.
Yeah. No, she's a lawyer. She's a good lawyer. She's a well-known lawyer. She's a lawyer. She's a lawyer.
Listen, you and I both know lawyers.
Yeah.
I have some friends that are lawyers.
Yeah.
That are really dumb. Pam Bondi would fit into that category. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching the FiveStack. Thanks for joining us. Go to narrative.org. Become a subscriber today. Share this with anybody that you think would benefit from it. And again, thank you for taking time out to spend an hour with us. We do this every day at 3 o'clock. Tell your friends. Become a member. Gift a subscription. Subscribe for free. We just want to interact with you. We want to talk to you because we are you, and we're so grateful for your time. So we'll see you tomorrow. I imagine we're going to have some more breaking news, and we'll be covering what happens with Trump tonight, 9 o'clock. I'm going to get the popcorn out. Everybody else should. It's going to be a pure lesson in insanity because he is up against it, which is good news. When is it?
I'm carrying it live, and you should hopefully will be there.
Oh, dude, send me a thing, and I'll carry it live too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great to have you here.
Okay.
Join us afterwards. We're going to do a whole panel. Join us.
I'm going to. Is Waj coming?
I don't know yet. I haven't got all the RSVPs. I'm going to double check when I get off here.
All right, I'll be here.
That's all at 9 o'clock tonight. This is the FiveStack. It's December 17th, 2025. Have a great day, everybody.